Cue the music, let's go. I'm your boy Ro, OG member of the Orange Bowl Boys, and welcome to a not-so-successful edition of Student of the Game, one in which your Miami Hurricanes will take its first loss of the 2025 campaign, coming at the hands of the Louisville Cardinals. And on this first drive, it is a masterclass, a lot of different formations, a lot of different moving parts, multiple quarterback sets. I don't even know how to put that like in terms of personnel groupings when you see that. Obviously, Miami and the presser would announce that, yeah, we saw things we never saw before, so let's see if we can see those together, shall we? On this one, I'm going to be honest, though, it's just Louisville winning at the point of attack. So the first thing I want to go ahead and bring out to your attention is just pay attention to the front. So when I see a defensive end overhanged over here, and then I see a tight end, I'm going to call this, just for simplicity's sakes, an under front. You're not playing over the tight end side. You're not playing the heavy side. You're playing under. So right there, great play call by Brom here, because I feel like they just win the advantage at the point of attack, and you're going to see some nuance, okay? So at the snap of the ball, there you go. A little bit of a pin and pull. What we mean by that, some offensive linemen are kind of pinning while others are pulling, and you're going to just see the advantage right here by Louisville emerge, like I said, against that under front, right? They're not over the tight end. You see the gap starting to materialize, and and pay attention right here, just sealing this off, right? Just taking Ruben Bay and kind of pushing him out of the outside. You see this gap coming in and materializing right there at the C gap, okay? So, and then you're seeing some more things materialize right here. You have your defensive tackle. He's looking, he's peeking. Let's go ahead, let's pay attention, okay? He's peeking inside. He's looking inside, but the ball's already going around. Why is he doing that? Why is he like peeking inside? Because he's kind of like two-gapping, like two-gap principles. He's going to grab the guy in front of him, and he's going to look to one side to see if he's playing either gap. That's why they call it two-gapping, because you can shed your blocker and go there. But the problem is, it's already by him, and I don't think they really accounted for the speed from this young man initially, because he's just playing on a different gear earlier, playing with conviction. Now, this is when you have to, as a Miami Hurricane defensive guy, this is when you need erasers, right? This is what we mean by erasers. It's already going to be a 5 to 10 yard gain, right? You know it's going to happen. Tip your cap, Louisville against this under front, really does it well, scouts it out, and next you got to put it on the ground. But then when you miss a tackle there, you miss a tackle there, 5 to 10 becomes, 20 to 30. So can't do that. They're off and running. We're off and running. Let's go, Canes fans. One of my keys to the game on the Orange Bowl Boys podcast this week was don't let them ring their bell. In this case, however, the man takes a simple drag route and takes it to the house, and it's not without the sake of trying, but the University of Miami Hurricanes defense. On the screen, I took the liberties to kind of tell you that University of Miami is in man coverage on this play. They're going to be in man one. They are blitzing somebody from the field side. But take a second, look on screen. You're going to see where the man responsibilities are. We're going to go ahead and clear that, and this is when they get the simple advantage, because over here at the bottom of the screen, University of Louisville is in a 2x2 ace gun look, and right here is where it's going to get a little bit muddled and confused, because at the snap of the ball in man coverage, immediately you're going to see something materialize right here. Aha. That's all it took. It was a simple pick, because in man coverage, when you had the tight end escaping into the flat, and then you had Mr. Bell coming across the formation, that little bit of rubbing is racing, that was all the separation needed for the Louisville Cardinals to just hit this ball. And that's one way that they're operating pretty much all game, is they're not going to let the University of Miami pass rush pin its ears and put them in a disadvantageous spot, especially early on in the sticks. Simple concept, get the ball out quick, have a natural rub element, you catch Miami perfectly in man coverage, and then you shouldn't score here. When I'm looking at this, it's like, how does he score? You have your back turned and everything, and this is just great speed. I'm just going to be honest. Like, University of Miami, I don't think early on we're prepared for some of the speed elements, because, yeah, we got this. We could cover this up. I'm on the outside. No, he just runs right by you. Just runs right by you. Impressive play individually by the Louisville Cardinals. Nothing crazy. Got the ball out quick, got a natural rub element, and now they're up 14-0. Quick hitter clip, but I wanted to go ahead and highlight this successful pass play by the University of Miami Hurricanes, because I wanted you to see when Carson Beck decides to throw the ball and how Malachi Tony rewards him. Later on, it's not going to be so much of a reward, but at least you see in the quarterback's perspective when he's deciding to throw the football and what he thinks and constitutes in his mind as open. Now, very simple concept, slot 2, Malachi Tony is going to go ahead and basically take this ball on a 9. He's going to go vertical. On the outside, we're trying to suck up a corner, and you're trying to leverage that one-on-one. They are in man 1 now, so they have one safety over the top. So as a quarterback, I have to find my safety over the top of the field. I have to account for him. And Carson Beck does. So you're going to see his eyes, his vision. He goes ahead and snaps back around, and you're keeping that safety right in the middle of the field. Now, I wanted to highlight when he decides to throw the ball. It's right now, okay? It's right now. Malachi Tony doesn't necessarily have a step on his defensive back, but he does, because now what seemed like it was a disadvantage became an advantage. Now the University of Miami Hurricanes are on touchdown's doorstep. You're going to see this later pop up. So it wasn't just like a good mix from the University of Louisville doing like complex and personnel grouping. Sometimes it was just a simple offense. And from this trip side look out here to the field side, you're going to see that they just simply take a simple stop when you see a lot of cushion out there. So Louisville's trying to get rid of the ball quick. We've established this. And you're going to see the cornerback highlighted at the top of the screen, okay? We just did it. He's going to pre-snap. He's walking. He's creating more cushion, and now he's bailing. So stop. Question. Ro, why is he doing that? Well, a lot of times you have an advantage if you're playing off the top, because now that cornerback over the top, he has the ability to jump over to the slot too. He can read combos. He's not just focusing on one tree in the forest. He's focusing on many. But there's a give and take to that, because when you have that cushion underneath, that's what allows Miller Moss to just simply take it, because like I said, too much cushion outside. So you go ahead, you throw it, bam. Okay, so what's the disadvantage? All right, you want to go ahead, pre-snap, walk your cornerback. Maybe he has the ability to jump over to the other wide receiver, read combos. He's in a better position that way. What's the trade-off? You give things up underneath. That was the easy, low-hanging fruit. Sometimes simple offense is the most effective. In that case, it was. So the reason why I wanted to highlight the successful pass play earlier by Carson Beck and Malachi Tony, and to highlight when he decided to throw the ball, because Malachi Tony looked disadvantaged when he decided to throw the ball, but he immediately turns that into an advantage. You're going to see the same thing happen there, and I want to introduce something on this Student of the Game Orange Bowl Boys channel. When we see an interception, I want to start using a color-coded index. Green means like this is not on the quarterback, they ran the wrong route, something's really not there. All interceptions fall on the back of the quarterback. I understand that, but there's levels to it. Yellow is kind of like they make a great play. It's explainable, and red is it's just not explainable whatsoever. It is completely on the back of the quarterback. So Malachi Tony, once again, he's going to be taking a vertical. And Louisville, they have what appears to be like three safeties over the top, okay? Personnel withstanding, one was a linebacker. They highlighted that on the film. But similar to Florida State a week ago, like in a 3-3-5, you got three safeties potentially looking, patrolling over the top. And I want to go ahead and highlight when Carson Beck decides to deliver this ball, because he is throwing now, okay? When he's deciding to throw the ball, just like the successful pass play, you're going to see that the DB is over the top of Malachi Tony. Okay, but again, at this juncture, look what happens. He is now starting to separate. So the decision to throw it, the timing to throw it, I'm going to actually applaud this. Now, we call him Baby Jesus. ACC, you botched this, because right here you're seeing Baby Jesus is getting crucified right now. He's being tackled, okay? Does that affect things? Sure, because if he's not being tackled, maybe he can go back and play on the ball. Obviously, the one linebacker was highlighted on the telecast. He broke away. He comes back over. He's going to be the recipient. But let this be a lesson. This is clear pass interference. Clear pass interference. Ball gets picked. And then there you go. Wouldn't lead to points. Wouldn't hurt the University of Miami. But it was a blown call. Now, let's go ahead and give it the color, because I said that I would. Even though you decide to throw the ball, and I understand the throw, at the top of the screen, all right? Yeah, you're 2 for 1 when you see the three safeties over the top. I'm going to put that on the quarterback. I'm going to say this is red and yellow. This would be an orange if I made that color-coded system, so maybe I got to reinvent this on the fly. But, yeah, we're going to put this on Carson Beck despite the interception. Louisville had some questions on the night coming in as far as their running attack, but they're getting it going early against the University of Miami. Now, University of Miami is in that like 3-by-1 front where they essentially take three and they front load it over one side of the center, while on the backside they kind of have like a one-on-one, and they're leaving this like huge B-gap bubble inside. So you're seeing it pictured on the screen. And all Louisville does on this one, they just take advantage of numbers, right? Because maybe if you have some questions about your offensive line, but if you can create a numbers advantage, how do you do it? And this is exactly how they do it. They just don't block Akeem Messidor. They run this little counter play. They're just going to let him go. And now back on the other side, you create numbers. If you have speed from the running back and you could go ahead and rely on that speed, they just win outnumbers at the opponent attack. And listen, bang. He gets murdered there. I want to go ahead and watch that again because that was a fun hit to watch. They just created numbers on the backside. I think they took advantage of that front. They left the key Messidor unblocked. That is something that I can't see teams taking advantage in the future, especially if you're going to put that one defensive end and you're going to go ahead and flex them out there. But good play by the University of Louisville there. Again, interception, easy call to make. This is red all day. Trying to hit a stutter go at the top of the screen, and I'm going to tell you why it's red. You're going to see Carson Beck. Go ahead. There's the pump. Boom. All right, now at this point in time, when you throw go balls, especially with inside leverage from a quarterback has to throw this out on the outside. Got to keep him on that trajectory. Your sideline's kind of like your friend over here. If he doesn't catch it, you want it going out of bounds. That's the rule. That's the rule that applies here. So you see the line? Okay, now he's being thrown inside. So woefully thrown ball, not necessarily underthrown, it's just thrown on the wrong directional plane. Easy decision to make here. This one's totally on the backs of Carson Beck. Interception number 2, we have a reason. I mean, simple screen. A lot of screens on the night by the University of Miami. The kid's just special. So this is not an overly complex commentary clip. It's just enjoy. This is what he can do to an offense. Put the ball in the playmaker's hands. And by the way, there's a block and a half right here. My goodness. But a simple screen turns into a really, really big play by arguably the best player on the offensive side of the ball in Malachi Toney. On the year, the University of Miami has shown a strong propensity for its screen game, either as an attachment to its RPO game or just as the sole call. It's a screen. University of Louisville knows this on this particular rep, so on 3rd and 6, they use the feint of a blitz to kind of force Miami's hands. Over to the film, shall we? You're going to see inside the box, Louisville threatening blitz. 7 inside the box defenders that could come. It gets Miami to react, and what do? They're going to motion Malachi Toney into the 3 side. Now you have a 3-by-1 look from 11 set personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end pictured. But watch what happens, perfectly timed and executed at the snap of the ball. As soon as the snap up, Louisville drops and immediately focuses their attention on the quick pass. They seem to have a good sense where Miami's going to go under the faint pressure of a blitz. That's going to pay dividends later on for them later on in the game, and I'll explain. And here you go. They just have simple numbers. What looked like 3v2 is now going to be 4v3. Great play individually by the corner there, number 4, to go ahead and work through his block and make that initial contact and make the tackle. But Louisville was planned for it. That's why they get more hats to the ball. Great job by Louisville. Great job on their scheme. They knew exactly what Miami was going to do there, and they made them pay. Eventually, the University of Miami can set this trap. Now, simple offense, Miller Moss, from a 2x2 set, he's just going to hit Bell again on the perimeter on a stop play. But when you're into the boundary and you do have over-the-top safety help, watch what happens. When you have a back turned by the defender, and you're going to see it right here, okay, at the back turn, good quarterbacks are going to know, and this isn't new to football, when a back's turned, that's open because obviously he can't see what's going on. So that is open for the quarterback. Now he's going to see the back turn, and he throws the ball. Perfect. Cornerback's in phase there, but still, perfectly thrown ball. There's no defense for a perfectly thrown ball. We know this. But I want to back this up because, like I said, set the trap. As soon as he turns back, turn your back, now swing around right now and anticipate a potential stop or a curl, and you have the safety. Look, he's right here, right? He's just right here over the top. No big deal. If he goes by, you have somebody that's their guy. You low-key are planning for him. You're 2 for 1 over here. You're in a good position. But eventually you're going to have to make teams pay when they try to take the simple offense on the one side. There it is. He's been a nightmare all night. Very wonderful talent for the University of Louisville. So University of Miami could set the trap in the future on similar plays. Miami gets victimized again in their screen game. And this time when University of Miami comes empty set, no running back next to the left, to the right of the quarterback, they're in a 3-man front as far as Louisville is concerned. And you see them start to creep down into the box. They're creating, the distance in between is starting to go ahead and dissipate. So at the snap of the ball, you're going to see this screen. This is not an RPO attached screen because you can tell by the way the offensive linemen kind of shoot off. They're going in different directions. Carson Beck actually has the option to either throw this screen to the field side or he's got another screen down here into the boundary. So he's going to make that pick pre-snap. So pre-snap, he's determined. But this is what I don't like because you see, there's only the cushion between that DB separates. Now you're on a line. Just look. He's got direct access. he beats this leverage on Malachi Tony on his outside shoulder, and he's able to blow up this play, right? Good film review. He sees the ball coming out quick. There's a good chance on empty looks. He was taught on empty looks, anticipate the ball coming out quick. So we need you to kind of play more downhill. University of Miami doesn't have an answer. And again, like a running game, depending on where the leverage of the defender is, you might change or bounce a gap a certain way. It doesn't happen on the screen game, so he has direct access to the wide receiver on the outside shoulder, and next you know, he blows up this play. All right? I think Miami at this point is over-relying on their screen game a little bit, and Louisville's not fooled. High index of suspicion that this is an RPO for the University of Miami on this particular play, and I do believe it's the wrong read by the quarterback, and I'll make the case because University of Louisville, against this 11-set personnel with a tight end left of the quarterback and right of the quarterback, they're going to combat this, and they're going to use this 5-man front pictured here. So they slide into an odd man look. Now, behind this, you're going to see 2 linebackers, and then you're also going to see a safety who is now walking down, getting closer to the box. So they have a high box count number, the potential to sustain and add to that box. Okay, granted. Now, here's the play. University of Miami, Carson Beck has the ability to either give it to the running back or he's going to read this defender right here because they're not going to block him, and that's okay. The reason why they don't block him because he's an overhang defender, and if he crashes down, the quarterback has the ability to keep the ball and throw this for the quick flat element of this pass option. So at the snap of the ball, you're going to see it, overhang, not touched. There he goes, holds his ground. He is now in a 2-for-1 state. If he sees it go to the running back, maybe he can make a play, come down to the running back, and he does have the responsibility to ride this out into the flat. So Carson Beck gives the ball. Now remember what the front was. It was 5 along the defensive line, 2 linebackers. So now it's immediately a 7-on-6 with a safety who is back there, so you can maybe constitute this 8-on-6. If he keeps that ball right there and just throws this out into the flat, I think you have the advantage outside. Now you got a good block one-on-one with one wide receiver, another good block on the outside one-on-one receiver. I think this was the wrong read for the quarterback, especially against that front. No way you were going to block that right. Quick hitter clip, but when a coach says, we're jumping out of gaps, this is what he means by this, okay? Pay attention right here. Obviously, there's a responsibility to stay in your rush lane even on this 3rd and 10. Okay, this is where the failure is going to happen. And just watch. At the snap of the ball, immediately is in that gap, and he takes a couple steps the wrong way, and that's all that's needed. You maintain your gap responsibility. You're back on the outside. Maybe you keep this 3rd and 10 more bottled up. That was a huge play. That was a backbreaker. And why was it a backbreaker? Because later on in the drive, they're going to score on this play when they have a remarkable wide receiver who just takes a simple crossing route, sits it, and scores. Can't blame this on the defensive coordinator because on the rip, you're going to see this. You're anticipating something underneath. You have plenty of defenders along that line. Where the failure happens once again, at the linebacker position here, and then when your safety comes up to make a play, you need an eraser, and you don't have an eraser. So pay attention to those 2 elements. Like I said, it's just simple crossing route. Hey, right here, looks like you got to make this tackle. You don't make this tackle. You're flat. Remember the safety, takes a wrong angle, gets flat again. The speed of Louisville takes it from there, and they score, and that would be the difference. Ouch. That's not on the DC, though. Calamity of errors on this play. This would be Carson Beck's 3rd interception, and it comes on a 4th and 4. University of Miami in a 3-by-1 look. The interception grade, this is all red. Now, I want to point out the first calamity of errors because, they're pointing at something, and you need to go ahead and pay attention right here to the left tackle. ACC officials, you actually blow this because Miami false starts, okay? You see this, and there he goes. They're right. This play should have never have happened because he false started. Now, here's what happens too. Miami gets beat clean at the offensive line. Left guard and left tackle are going to lose their rep. You're going to see right here, there's a left guard, gets swung, okay? Left tackle, probably thinking about, his false start that he should have had. And now you're back foot balling? No, that's not back foot balling. So we got to go back this up, and this is why I give this the red grade too, because on this 3-by-1 look, 4th and 4, obviously if you just look into the flats right now, you see something underneath. That's the read underneath. You see it right there. Look, it's right here. So missed the read. Yes, there is some pressure that obviously was allowed by the offensive line. Uncharacteristically, they've been good on the year. Pressure came, however, You missed the read on the bottom side, decide to throw it up. I know you have to throw it on 4th and 4. You can't take a sack because that's essentially a turnover too, but there was other options there. Sorry if you sense a little bit of the sarcasm, but you mean you can run outside too? Who knew? Think playmakers, not plays. Speed on the perimeter. Bang. My wholesale sense, this is a little commentary before we start this play. University of Louisville kind of attacked schematically, doing a lot of things. In the second half, they were taking the simple offense, just kind of taking what the University of Miami gave them. Obviously, in the first two things, their scripted plays were brilliant. And I've maintained this throughout the course of the year that sometimes when Miami's in that rut, when it's in its funk, that, you script something, you kind of have something that you kind of go to, similar to the way Louisville attacked you in the beginning of the game. And that's what happens here on this second down play. Yeah, it's a trick play. Here you go, faking that, have everything covered. C.J. Daniels at the top of the screen, he's faking his block, then he disengages, and Malachi Toney, just being a playmaker that he is, throws this for the touchdown. I feel like the screen game and the RPO game, the Louisville had a good game plan and a good sense of when to really attack your screens, when to kind of attack your interior runs. So it was just one of those things where they played their tendency a little bit more this week than most teams have. So it might be a thing where Miami needs to evolve moving forward and just have more scripted plays. And that's just my personal opinion. And this is going to be the final clip of the evening and the final nail in the coffin for your Miami Hurricanes. This is going to be Carson Beck's 4th interception, and it is truly backbreaking. Now, you heard him in a press game say that we ran the wrong route. And in fact, that is true, and we'll give the final interception grade later on in this clip. But let's see what happens. Louisville comes out, and they're in this 7-man front again. Now, remember, last time they feinted this pressure, they got Miami to react and throw a ball quick into the flats. So it seems like when they get this look, they get the reaction. They know a ball is going to come out. And what is a hot call? Because you heard that said too. Miami could have had a play call where everything was supposed to go vertical. But if the blitz comes, somebody needs to run a redirect hot, meaning like, I don't have time to throw this, so the ball needs to come out now. And that is true. That is what Carson Beck's thinking, because at the snap of the ball, he sees pressure coming, right? 5 are coming, so in fact, it is a blitz. So he's deciding to throw the ball, and if you see this right now, tight end's not anticipating it. He's not anticipating the hot. Carson Beck is not wrong, all right? Because now you got to look for that ball. Probably he needs to take this more out into the flat, and there you go. Give Louisville all the credit in the world, though, because they anticipated something coming out hot. That linebacker, well coached, well taught, makes the play of the game. This is the game, and that's that. Now, let's go to the grade, okay? Because saying that this is all on the backs of a tight end running the wrong route, there's merit there, but there's other merit too. The ultimate responsibility of protecting yourself as a quarterback is yourself. Your offensive line takes ownership and takes stake at that. But when you have somebody come off the right side clean, we're not really in that position of blocking. Maybe the line call wasn't perfected. And then you get this ball tipped. Yeah, that factored. So I'm going to put a little bit of that onus on the quarterback as well, because you got to do everything you can to try to protect yourself. Throwing that ball, getting it tipped. Next you know, not everybody's on the wrong page. Critical error by multiple parts there. Not going to give this a clean green interception. I'm going to say that this is yellow. There's some fault to be given out there, but ultimately the University of Miami, you lose this ball game, 4 turnovers, ugly game. But for the last time, I'm your boy Ro, OG member of the Orange Bowl Boys. Stay safe, my friends. Bang.